Wanted to do a brief overview of some of the mods that I've done on this 2023 KRT that I just picked up. Got about 160 or so miles. I'm just going to kind of go over a few things that I think folks who buy these are going to want to be interested in and knowledgeable about. So I'm going to start from the back and kind of wrap it around the front. So I did buy, this is not an Akrapovic race can or anything like that. That's an eBay special. It's about 125 bucks. Fitment on these suck pretty good. Even though they are for, supposedly for this bike this year, it's just sort of a generic kit that they have. So it comes with a reducer off the slip-on, and that will need to be pulled off, or it needed to be for mine. And then we have a mid-pipe adapter that you're going to need to do so that everything lines up correctly. I did take a propane torch to mine. I didn't like all the exposed kind of metal. I wanted to switch it up a little bit. So that's why it's like that discolored blue. It doesn't work too well on the pipe. There's some crap on the pipe, so it looks a little raggedy right now. But yeah, I don't know. It worked for me. Highly recommend taking the baffle out if you can get away with it. It sounds much cleaner. Just kind of note that it doesn't mount to the factory location, right? So you got this weird like elbow in here. I think it looks kind of like garbage, but for now I'm going to roll with it. As far as feeling power difference, it's definitely louder. I'm not sure that I feel like real horsepower from it. I'm sure there's a little bit of an advantage to not being restricted, but it was nothing that was like crazy noticeable. Moving down, so get a lot of this stuff off either eBay or Amazon, right? So we got 8mm frame sliders. Highly recommend a jack like this. It doesn't matter if it's sort of the box welded design or any of those will work to get that back tire off the ground, get you kind of straightened up so you can do oil changes or whatever you might need to do there. For me, it was so that I could adjust my chain. So had this up kind of fast in terms of like a 400cc. And it stretched out my chain pretty quick. So I'm gonna kind of talk over that now because that was a little bit ridiculous. So you have your drive side here with the chain, obviously, right? And what I noticed from the factory was that the counters, the notched counters, I'm not sure if you can see them. Yeah, there they are. So there will be 6 on this side and like 5 3/4 on this side. And so I was like, man, this is way off. When I went to align everything, when you do this, you want to take a measurement, have this pushed all the way forward and down is how I did mine, just so they're consistent on both sides. So this guy's going to be loose. You're going to back off the lock nut and then back off the retaining nut on both sides and push it up all the way forward and down. Make sure your tire's all the way back. You got to kind of wrench on that sometimes. And you want to measure from the outside lip, or that's how I did it, from the outside lip to the complete outside lip right here. And that should be the same on both sides. And with my alignment rod, it was, right? So when both sides are the same, it doesn't pull to one side or another and you're fine. I would also remeasure it after you tighten everything back up. These don't have to be super tight, right? Like just make sure your plate's not wobbling around. But I will say what tends to happen is because this is your drive side with the chain, you get sort of like an effect like this, right? Where it kind of wants to pull the tire to this side because you have tension on that side. So 72 foot-pounds of torque on the spec, or at least it was for 2023. I'm sure these are all the same parts. Again, these don't need to be crazy tight, right? So it's not like I can move it by hand, but you also don't want it so loose that the plate's rattling around because it can move on you. Make sure you pull that tire hard back when you're doing this, so everything is the same when you're measuring and everything like that. So good luck with that. It was kind of a pain. Also have a fender eliminator kit. So this looks so much better, saves so much weight. Took about 30 minutes to put it on there. You got to kind of pay attention. There's some factory pieces you retain. Make sure you're using your light so you don't get pulled over for something stupid. Let's see what else. So I got that off Amazon, I believe. It's around like 40 bucks. One other thing I will mention with the pipe, when I was coloring it in, I got a little too close to the rear fender, and it's got like, you can't see it on the camera I don't think, but there's like a bright spot right here where it melted a little bit of the plastic, so pay attention if you're doing that. I was not, clearly. But I do have a carbon fiber ordered for that rear fender, so got some other mods and stuff that are going to be happening with it. Moving to the front, so we have the bar ends. These are just cheap. They're off Amazon. They are not real carbon fiber. They look like it, but they're whatever it is, 60-65 aluminum. Definitely, if you do this, the fitment's kind of crappy right here. But I use instead of trying to go inside the bar or something like that to tighten it down, I use the stock bolt. It was a little bit thicker, put some thread lock on it, all that fun stuff. Adjustable grips, I would definitely recommend. Also, I believe that was an Amazon purchase. Gonna run you around like $40, $45, something like that. But I like them, man. They're nice. I got enough to where I can adjust out and feel comfortable with these gloves. Quad lock. Let's talk about them for a minute. I regret this purchase. So I forget how much this was. It was like 75 or 80 bucks, and then you have to buy a phone case that's like 40, and it's just ridiculously expensive for what you get. You pop this little retaining top off. There's a Allen head inside there, and there's two different size bottom pieces you can use to fit down inside of that, the cavity inside of the bolt there, and it expands out as you tighten. It's like plastic and rubber bands and a little bit of metal, and I don't feel comfortable having an iPhone on there. So I did double side tape it down below here, like the same kind of tape you use with like a GoPro. I also zip tied it in case it completely came off, that I don't lose my phone. Hopefully that doesn't crash me out if that ever happens, but it's on there tight now. But would I recommend that to other people? I mean, it's convenient to where it's located, and the phone doesn't vibrate now, but I don't know. I think it's kind of trash, and it's expensive. I am thinking about putting a stabilizer on this, like the ZX10 or something like that. I don't get a lot of feedback through the bars, but if you're riding for a long time, you want something like that. It makes you more comfortable. So I might end up taking this back off, and who knows. What else we got? So the other thing that I did was take the reflectors off, and I think I have one right here. And so this is, it just 10 millimeter, comes right off, right? Fits right in here. And so you'll need a bolt with the same thread to get back in there and get that stuff tightened up. So just make sure that you're aware of that. You don't want to leave it loose. Your fender will flop around. You'll figure it out pretty quick. So future upgrades. So again, the stabilizer I think is going to be happening here pretty soon. I do have a chain, 520 chain, that's gold with the master link. I've also got K&N air filter thing to break the chain with, and then 42 tooth Vortex rear sprocket that's going to go in there to help a little bit on that bottom to mid acceleration. And I'm waiting to install that. I'm gonna put some miles on it first. I don't want to just ditch this factory chain until it's time. So get it broken in properly, throw that stuff on there, and then what I'm probably gonna do is velocity stacks, and then an ECU tune when it's all kind of over with. The other thing I'm thinking that might help gain a little bit of power mid-range and down low is the factory headers. Obviously those things are kind of tiny, and I don't know, I'm thinking about what I want to do. I feel like I'm not going to get a lot of horsepower there for the money, but you got to squeeze every little bit you can. And I will also say that it's probably going to get some holes drilled in the airbox, because this thing just, they're restricted down and they run lean and all that fun stuff. So anything you can do to kind of help it out. And lastly, I think the last upgrade, it's the last upgrade that I have coming, is I'm going to do like a mid-color tinted double bubble windscreen. And so when I get these parts in, I will make some other videos. Do apologize, I should have done this from the start, where I get it clean and show folks how to how to modify the parts, and especially like the rear fender eliminator kit. That took a little coercing to get that in, I don't think there's a lot of good videos out there for them. So anyways, hope you like, subscribe, leave a message in the comments. Thanks.